Hello everyone, and welcome to the second RoboWarehouse devlog. This week we were all working hard on the game and we've made some pretty great strides in various parts of the game, and we're going to be taking a look at that in just a second. But first, I just want to let you all know about our Steam page that is currently under review, and it should be out in a few days after this video is uploaded. So make sure that you join our Discord and we'll post in there when it's up, and if you'd like to wishlist the game, that would be great. Anyway, now let's take a look at some of this week's updates. So at the start of the week I started working on our robot making system, and I implemented the method that I talked about last week. Instead of buying random robots for a set fee, we will click on the CEO and it'll list all of the robots currently available to us to build. As you can see, we currently have two types of robots, the programmer and the builder. So I can go ahead and click on one of these options, and you'll see now we have a window pops up that gives us more information about that particular robot that we're going to be making. Then further down, we've got all the parts that are required for this particular robot, and for each part that we don't have, the money increases, so it's like we're paying for the parts that we don't currently have. And of course, making parts will be something that we add in the future. So let's go ahead and build this robot, and now you can see it pops out in front of us. In the future it'll have a build time of like 10 seconds to limit how many can be built in quick succession. So that'll encourage the player to get workers who will build the robots, and eventually they'll move on to self-replicating robots. Now that brings us nicely into our next update of the week, which is BuilderBots. This is a new type of robot that has its own behaviour and adds a new method of earning money early on in the game. Since we already bought a BuilderBot, I'll go ahead and press play, and you can see it'll run over to this cube here. Now, this cube is obviously a temporary asset, but once we get art done, this will essentially become like a pile of parts, like PC parts or machine parts. So the robot will rummage through and play an animation of building or something, and once it's done, it'll transform into a new object. In this case, it's a sphere. So this could be a number of objects in the future. It could be a PC, a piece of machinery, appliances, anything really. They could also have like money linked to each of them. And now that it's the new object, we can go ahead and click on it, and as you can see, it sells the object and it gives us a bit of money for doing so. So I'm aiming for this to be super relevant in the earlier part of the game, before the player has enough money to make programmer robots where they can start to earn a bit more money. And obviously this robot is very new to our gameplay, but it is built as a subclass to the main robot, so it still performs similarly to the other robot in that it goes to charge and has all the same options as before. The programmer robot also got a design update this week, just to make it look a bit more like the other one. Another update done this week is being able to take on multiple jobs. Whereas before you could only ever have one job at a time, you can now take on multiple jobs, and depending on if you complete them, you'll either get awarded the money or you will get a penalty. All amounts are laid out on the card, and you can take on as many jobs or as few jobs as you like. Now we've reached the final update this week, and this one is actually still being worked on currently, but we do have the majority of it working, and that's the build mode options. These options are pretty standard stuff. We have the default, which is the move mode option, and this allows us, as the name implies, to move objects around that have already been placed, and we can replace them and place them back down free of charge. Next up we have the undo and redo buttons. As you can probably work out, these undo and redo steps that you've taken in the build mode. So moving items, buying an item, or even selling an item. The redo button does still need to be worked on a bit, but we should have it complete by the next devlog. Finally we have the delete button, and this allows us to delete items that are unwanted and will give the player some of the money back for each item sold. So that's our progress this week. We have a lot still to get through, but it was a productive week, so hopefully we'll keep at that pace and the game should be out before we know it. But for now, that's our progress, and I hope you enjoyed seeing it as much as we did working on it. As always, a like and subscribe are greatly appreciated, it helps a lot. And if you would like to help support the game's development, you can find our Patreon down below in the description. Alternatively though, you could just join our Discord and wishlist the game when it becomes available on Steam. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.